Specifically, it's an episode called Change Your Mindset and Learn English Fast. It's basically designed to coach you through those emotional barriers.
So our mission here isn't just to summarize the advice.
No, not at all. We're trying to reverse engineer its success. We want to extract the core coaching strategy and, more importantly, the specific linguistic structure they use to actually speed up progress.
We want to see the mechanics behind the motivation.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the sources, they immediately point to three sort of non-negotiable pillars that this whole strategy is built on. Consistency, confidence, and daily practice. We're going to explore how this resource creates a specific mindset shift that makes those three things feel, well, attainable instead of just overwhelming.
Well, before we even touch the content, we have to talk about the delivery.
The delivery.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that the sources really emphasize that the whole thing works because of the speaker's persona. They're not some, aloof grammar expert.
Oh, absolutely. The speaker in the original material is explicitly defined as a friendly mentor.
Or a coach.
A coach who truly wants to help you grow, and the whole thing is directed so intimately, it's speaking directly to you, the listener.
And that's a very deliberate strategy. It's designed to dismantle the fear and anxiety that so often comes with learning a new language.
And that tone, it's not just a nice little feature, is it?
No, it's neurologically strategic. The sources highlight that the tone is supportive, encouraging, and, maybe most importantly, calm.
Okay, so why call them?
Well, think about it. When a learner is anxious, like maybe remembering the stress of being called on in class, their body releases cortisol.
Right, the stress hormone.
Exactly. And cortisol actively gets in the way of cognitive function, of memory. So by using this consistently calm and encouraging tone, the coach is intentionally lowering that stress response.
So they're kind of merging language learning with personal growth.
They are, but the practical effect is that they're reducing the chemical barrier that stops you from actually understanding things.
That creates a really low-stakes environment. If I feel calm, I'm just going to be more receptive. But I have to ask, for a deep dive, how do they balance that need for real insight with, the need to be accessible?
That's the beauty of the design.
If the listener is trying to learn English, the instruction itself can't be too dense.
And it's not. That's the genius of it.
Yeah.
The language they use is, and the sources quote this, simple, clear English. And the pace. Slow and easy to follow. This isn't just them being nice. It's an integrated learning tool.
How so?
By keeping the language simple, you, the learner, can focus almost entirely on the content, the mindset coaching, while your brain is just passively processing the structure of the English being used.
Without the distraction of complex words or rushed speech.
Exactly.
It's the ultimate scaffolding. You're learning about resilience in the language you're trying to learn. But the language itself is simple enough that you don't feel overwhelmed by the delivery. It meets you exactly where you are.
And that supportive voice becomes synonymous with easy progress. The source manages to use really simple language to talk about psychologically complex ideas.
Like how to get over being shy or what to do when you hit that inevitable plateau.
Right. And that allows you to absorb the content and practice your listening comprehension at the same time without any stress.
Okay, so that supportive tone is the entry point. Let's move into the core thesis that this whole approach is trying to embed in you. What's the main message about progress?
The core thesis is that shifting to a positive and patient mindset is the prerequisite. It's what has to happen before you can get faster, more sustainable English learning.
They're not saying you don't have to practice.
No, not at all. They're just repositioning it. The quality of your practice and whether or not you'll actually stay consistent, that rests entirely on your mental framework.
So you have to solve the internal psychological stuff first.
That's the idea.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've talked about those three pillars: consistency, confidence, and daily practice. But how do they work together? It feels a little too simple to just tell someone, be confident.
That's a fair challenge. The sources integrate them beautifully, though. Think of it with an analogy. Think of language learning like driving a car.
I like it. So what's what?
Right. So confidence is the fuel. You need it just to start the engine.
Can't go anywhere without it.
Exactly. Then consistency. That's the engine itself. It provides the steady power you need to actually cover distance.
Okay, fuel engine. What about the mindset? The positive and patient part.
That's your roadmap. It ensures you stay on track and, don't panic when you hit a detour or a traffic jam.
And the advice only works because the delivery is so calm. It doesn't feel like a demand. It feels like an achievable state.
Yes. So that attitude of being positive and patient underpins everything. It gives you permission to fail, which is, it's essential.
You can't rush mastery, even if the goal is to learn fast. You have to allow yourself time to grow, and patience is sort of the lubricant for that process.
Precisely. And this is where the linguistic strategy starts to actively reinforce the psychological one. It goes beyond just the simple sentences. The source material uses a very specific vocabulary, and it's woven naturally into the conversation to solidify these ideas.
I love this part. The targeted vocabulary. What are the specific words they're trying to kind of plant in your head to reshape how you think?
We can break them into a couple of categories. First, you have the self-improvement words: mindset, habit, focus, confidence, and progress.
Those are the goals.
Those are the goals. Then they use the English learning specific words: practice, mistake, and improve. And by constantly using a word like mistake and immediately following it with improve in these really supportive sentences.
You start to internalize a new relationship with error.
Yes. A mistake isn't a dead end anymore. It's just a necessary data point for improvement.
But wait, I have to push back a little here. Isn't telling a beginner to focus on progress just adding more pressure? Progress can feel so slow at the start.
Just a critical point.
How does the resource handle those setbacks? The weeks where you feel like you haven't moved an inch?
The key is how they pair it with the other words habit and consistency.
Ah,
The resource subtly redefines progress. It's not about making a massive leap. It's about successfully maintaining your habit.
so if you practice today, you made progress.
You made progress. If you made a mistake and you learned from it, you made progress. They simplify the definition of success down to the act of just showing up.
Which makes the goal feel manageable, not overwhelming. This whole approach is basically designed to eliminate that feeling of overload by shrinking the task down to these tiny, actionable psychological shifts.
It makes perfect sense. By using simple language to talk about resilience, they make a really complex psychological concept feel accessible.
The attitude and the vocabulary are completely intertwined. They create this feedback loop of positive reinforcement.
Absolutely. The simple language makes the whole system low stress, which lets your brain actually use its resources for retention instead of, fighting anxiety.
Okay, let's switch gears to the actual linguistic structure, the hidden language lesson. We know the sentences are short, but let's deconstruct how that structure specifically helps you learn and retain information.
Right. This is where we get a bit more technical. The structure is built for maximum repetition and minimal cognitive strain.
Low mental effort.
Exactly. The sources specifically mention the intentional use of short sentences and repeated phrases. This creates a kind of rhythmic pattern that's designed for retention.
So your brain isn't struggling to parse long, complicated sentences.
No, it's just processing these clean, simple blocks of information.
And most critically, the material relies heavily on the simple present tense for habits and advice.
Yeah.
That feels like a brilliant piece of integrated design. Why is that tense so perfect for this?
It's the tense of immediacy, of reliability. The simple present is one of the first tenses you learn, and it's what we use for daily actions, for routines, for consistency,
Which are the core topics.
which are the core motivational topics.
Yeah.
But linguistically, it avoids the anxiety that can be caused by more complex tenses,
Like what?
like the future conditional or the perfect tenses.
Mm-hmm.
Those are associated with hypotheticals, predictions, past regrets, things that cause stress.
Oh, okay.
By keeping the advice in the simple present, like I practice every day or I focus on my goal, the advice feels immediate, actionable, and completely within your control right now.
So it's a dual-purpose architecture. The container, the simple sentences and tenses, is the actual language lesson, while the content is the motivation.
Precisely. It's teaching you sentence structure through the delivery of habit advice. And it doesn't just stop at passive listening skills.
Right. It has to push you towards
It
speaking.
does. It pushes the learner to bridge that gap between listening and speaking, which is often the scariest hurdle for someone who's shy.
And that move from passive to active, that's where confidence is really built.
Yeah.
So how does the structure encourage you to take that leap?
It encourages learners to repeat phrases aloud.
Mm-hmm.
And since the phrases are short, structurally simple, and they're positive affirmations like I speak clearly or I learn from my mistakes, the learner is doing this low-stakes repetition.
That reinforces both the linguistic skill and the self-belief at the same time.
Simultaneously, you're building that confidence pillar brick by brick, using the simple present tense as the mortar.
Just think about the power of that. You're not just practicing pronunciation. You're internalizing a positive identity. You're just talking to this mentor in the audio, repeating sentences that are easy to say and designed to build you up. It's the highest yield, lowest risk speaking practice imaginable.
It really reframes the whole process. The focus is always on small, achievable steps. By keeping the language simple, the concepts clear, and the repetition constant, the resource makes sure you never feel that pressure to perform some kind of complicated linguistic acrobatics before you're ready.
They build the emotional infrastructure first.
Yes.
So what does this all mean for us? The synthesis here is pretty powerful. This source material isn't just a pep talk.
No, it's a carefully structured language lesson hidden inside a motivational framework.
It uses the principle of low cognitive load and simple grammar to build your skill and your confidence at the exact same time. The lesson is simple. Motivation can actually be methodology.
And the ultimate takeaway is that the fastest way to learn isn't always through brute force memorization of the most complex vocabulary.
Wow.
It's through adopting this supportive, simple language coach approach that prioritizes self-belief, consistency, and a patient, positive attitude. Learning is, deep down, a psychological game.
And when you solve the mindset equation,
The language acquisition follows much more easily. It just eliminates the overwhelm.
and that, I think, is the deepest insight. The goal of this resource isn't just linguistic improvement. It's changing how you think about learning English, or really any long-term skill.
Yeah.
We let our internal narrative stop us before we even start.
We started by looking at how to help someone who feels stuck, shy, or unsure. And the answer these sources provide is so elegant.
Yeah.
Focus on the simple how of consistency and the emotional why of confidence, all delivered by a calm voice encouraging low-stakes repetition.
So we'll leave you with a final thought, building on that message of simplification and consistency. If using simple, reliable language is the key to building confidence in English, we have to ask ourselves, what complex area of your life right now could you simplify?
By focusing only on the simple present tense of a daily habit to achieve consistent progress.
The mantra that kind of encapsulates this whole deep dive is your guide. Remember this as you approach your next learning challenge, whatever it is.
You can learn English faster when your mindset is positive and patient.
That's all for this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.